Welcome to Chok Muay Chats, episode 14. I'm here with one of what I would say is the best in the division of the 61 to 63 kilos in Thailand at the moment, the young rising superstar Alfie Pearse from the UK. So, Alfie, what I'd like to start with is how did you get into Muay Thai? What was the catalyst for you getting into it?
I feel like I've got a similar story to quite a few people that I've spoken to. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't train any martial arts or anything like that. I wasn't even very athletic, through school and things like that. I mean, I played football, I played rugby a bit back home, but wasn't the best, just kind of played here and there. And then it must have been halfway through to the end of COVID, it was, so not long ago.
Yep.
I've got a cousin back home who trains at the gym that I train at. He fights there, he does like PTs and stuff, he's been there for a long, long time. And I just started training like myself in COVID. And because I was really fat at the time, like really chubby and unhealthy. I smoked a lot, drunk, really unhealthy. And I just thought I'm gonna start running. And running was the first thing I started doing. Actually, I remember just doing like a 5 kilometer in lockdown, and because you wasn't actually allowed out at one point, was you? I don't know if it's the same here or in Australia.
It was the same here. Here. We weren't allowed out.
Yeah, so I wasn't allowed out or anything. So, but they said you could exercise. So I went running, and then I thought, oh, that felt quite good. Like, obviously felt endorphins or whatever from that. And then, anyway, I contacted my cousin and said, oh, I'd like to come train down with you. But I had like anxiety of, I think a lot of people get this as well, like anxiety of I wasn't scared, but going into like a martial arts gym, like a boxing gym or something like that, you think it's going to be a lot different to what it is. So we just planned to train, just me and him, and to do MMA because I was, still am, but I watched like a lot of UFC at the time still. I was into that. I still like to watch the big fights on the UFC. So originally it was MMA, so I've done my first session with him, really enjoyed it. Then I've done 2 or 3. Then I've actually seen like there's a timetable at the gym. So back home my gym does there's boxing classes, mainly it's Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and boxing, and an MMA class at the time. So then I started literally doing 2 every day. So there was 2 classes each day. I paid my membership and I went to every class every day, like a lunatic. It must have looked so weird, and eventually, when I started talking with Andy, who's my coach from back home, and he started seeing me more and more in the Muay Thai classes, I think it was one sparring session, I was sparring with some lads, and he obviously realised like I was quite game and up for it, and spotted it in me. And straight away he kind of took notice of me, and we kind of clicked from there. He started training me, and it must have been definitely not over 2 months, I'd say. He said, oh, there's a fight that's opened up in a week or so with shin guards, nothing else, just like amateur shin guards at 70 kilo. So I think by then I was about 80 kilo, where I'd lost a bit already. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we trained for that. I went there. It was not too far. And the first round straight away, I remember I dropped I've got the video on my phone. I've dropped the lad with a right knee, and I remember the feeling of it, like the crowd, and it wasn't even a big place, It was just like a normal show. There wasn't. I don't even think there was A-class fights on it. But it was a crazy feeling having the crowd there, like the lights, the referee, like the adrenaline of that. And so yeah, I went there. It went the distance in the end. I dropped him again in like the fourth or round or something like that. And after that, the rest is kind of history. I had one more amateur fight after that. Straight after that, I was in like with elbow pads, no shin guards or anything. We call that like pro-am in the UK. There's like levels that go up.
Yeah,
so that's
similar, very similar to Australia.
Yeah,
we have
so
amateur, pro, but different classes now.
They kind of call that pro, but I wouldn't call it professional. But but I always wanted to fight like the real deal, you know, like all the whole time. I wanted to just push on to the next level, to the top. I didn't really consider myself a fighter until I was fighting pro rules, you know. So that was always my goal at the start. But that's how I started. I was unfit. I was also like in the wrong crowd here and there, but I don't want to get into that because I don't like to go too deep into that. But I found it, and it changed my life. You know, it saved me from a lot of other things I could have got into. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
A bit there.
It's a pretty cool story because I mean, literally, COVID was only 2-3 years ago. So you've only been training 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And how many fights you had now? About
this
15?
Next Saturday will be my 20th.
Yeah. Okay. So 20 fights in 3 years. That's pretty impressive. You've had a very active year this year. This will be your 10th fight.
Yeah, 10th fight now.
Yeah. So that's a very active year for a foreigner. Now, you were fighting in England, and then you turned pro in England, and you got the ISKA.
Yeah, so my first pro fight, I was 4-0, coming into it against a lad who was 7-0, who I'm really good friends with now. So it was a really good domestic matchup. And it was for the ISK 61 kilo British title. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a really, really good fight, really fun fight, me and Corey.
Okay, that's really cool because, you know, going like 3 years, that's really impressive to me because you see guys who have been training 10 years and they still don't have the level of IQ or the level of knowledge that you have. What do you attribute that to? Do you attribute that knowledge and that IQ to your training at home?
I just think since I found it, I've literally put everything into it. Like literally before I was a professional and I wasn't working or anything like that and I had sponsors, I was putting everything into it. Once I found this sport, I watch it now like constantly. I'm just always learning, always. I mean, back home I've got a great coach, a great team, but I'm constantly learning myself, you know, watching fights, things like that. And I don't think I've got I've got so far to go. I mean, I've only been doing it for a little bit amount of time, but I don't think I've got the best technique of people that are fighting. Like, there's people that are fighting amateur still that have got better technique than me, you know, but I've got the heart and I really want to do it. And I think if you have that and you're in a good gym around good fighters, then you can go anywhere you want in this sport, you know, but you need to really want it because other people do. There's so many people out there just like me that really want it because it's a sport that you have to, you know. It's not big money, it's not it's not like really mainstream. It's because you really want to do it, you know. People aren't just here for the it's a crazy sport. People get really hurt, so you've got to want it.
I really love that philosophy of you know, just going back to the beginning of that little part of that conversation was, you know, like I don't think I'm that good. I've still got more to learn, and I think that's something special about this sport. It doesn't matter how long you've been training, and I've always said this about Muay Thai, is that every single day you learn something new, not only about yourself, but technique-wise in Muay Thai. 100%. It's not a sport where it stops, and it's a progressive evolution. We've seen that over especially the last year within this sport. You're having to change the game a lot more. I mean, we're having this conversation off camera about, the difference between entertainment Muay Thai and 5-round traditional Muay Thai.
Yeah.
There's still things even Thais have to learn about entertainment Muay Thai.
100%.
And there's still things that we have to learn about 5-round Muay Thai.
Massively. I think that gets people don't really, even I wouldn't understand it like fully, but people don't understand like the actual scoring of it still in Thailand. Like, you'll see a decision, if some people watch a 5-round fight out here and see a decision and just not understand that at all, but if you really know what you're looking at and you know what the judges and the gamblers want to see, then you understand. Obviously there's been decisions that must have been tampered with or whatnot and things like that, but there's a lot of things that score highly in traditional Muay Thai that in the entertainment side of things now the judges don't want to see, people don't want to see. So it's changing. It's ever, what's the word? It's like evolving.
Yeah,
evolving.
it's evolving.
The sport, like constantly evolving.
And you know what's interesting about that was I was watching Josh Hill and David Pennampied.
Yeah.
They fought on Rebellion last week, and I said this was, a lot now we see a lot of fighters, foreign fighters especially. When I talk about foreign fighters, non-Thais, really pressing the forward fighting style of using big hands, low kicks, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to watch a fight like David and Josh, where two very big foreigners were fighting technical 5-round Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to watch that. And it makes for better fighters, seeing that they can switch between entertainment and 5-round Muay Thai, which I think is something that you've done really well.
Yeah.
You came over here. Actually, let's go into that. What pushed you to come over here, and then can you tell us a little bit about the story of from the start to how you got to Sordechpan, and then we can go in a little bit about the last couple of fights.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's kind of what's pushed your.
Yeah. So, I mean, last year I was out here in Thailand. That was always pre-planned. I came out here, I found a really good Thai-only gym called TBM Gym, and really enjoyed it there. Like, really good stable of 5-round fighters, I was the first foreigner to fight for them. It was exciting, They got me my first fight pretty much straight away. It was at Omnoi, which was massive for me to tick that off my first list, and have that as my first stadium to fight at, weighing in at 5-6 in the morning, fighting at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was crazy to me. So that was really good. But then I kind of had a little issue there because they wasn't getting me another fight after that, and I've learnt now kind of why it's a bit like that in Thailand. But anyway, they just wasn't pushing me, and I didn't know why. I thought I just stopped someone at the stadium, like, why are they not getting me another fight? And so I went actually on my own, and I spoke to the guys at Sassy Papa, and they got me a fight on their show when it was starting up, the 3-round knockout at Rajadamnern. So I had one there. TBM were fine with it. I asked them before that I was going to go there, and they said, yeah, it's fine. So that was last year. Came back, had some big fights in England when I came back. I think three fights in England when I came back. One of them being a really big one against a good 50 fighter from out here. Felipe.
Yep.
Yeah, from Phuket Fight Club. That was my biggest test today. Loads of people ripped me off for that fight.
Lobo, correct?
Felipe Morales.
Oh yes, yeah.
So many people ripped me off for that.
Yeah.
Literally, I remember after that fight when I'd won, my following list, I was looking at it, and it was so many bigger names from the UK now following me and stuff.
Yep.
But me and my coach trained so hard for that. Best shape I've probably ever been in. I think it was 8 weeks or so of just just training so hard to train, like, and really, because I was finding my style by then as well. I knew, like, I was a forward, like, knee fighter, just training, blocking that left kick and kneeing and elbowing, and it was a really good fight. I was gutted that there was no one to film that properly, because it was such a good fight for me. So anyway, I had them fights back in England, had a big one. I had two at the start of the year, that one and another one for the against a Spanish lad who was like a similar record to me for the. They were both for the ISKA Intercontinental, so like I fought it and then defended it, and then I couldn't get a fight in the UK, like in my rankings. There's UK rankings. And I wanted to fight, who was number one? John Haggerty was number one at the time. I knew that was out the question. He was on one. He was starting at bantamweight then. That was never even going to be possible. I can't remember who was number two. I think it was Adam Haslam or Mike Eslick. I don't know if you know either of them two guys.
I know the names.
Yeah. So I was trying to fight them at the time. And all these promoters were offering them up to, it must have been the top, everyone above me basically, like in the top 5. I was trying to fight, and there was different reasons, you know, each time, and they were all like later in the year, like someone would be like, oh, and then one of them, I'm not going to say who, just said, no, I haven't fought in a long time, I'm not coming back and fighting that kid, like, for my first fight back in so long. And I thought, this is not what it's about. Like, my coach, before I went to Thailand the first time, always ingrained into me how big it was out here and how, like, the best fight the best, and it's such a big deal in Thailand. When I came, I realised that, obviously, like, people are fighting, you're fighting each other maybe 3-4 times because it's such a close, good fight. So, couldn't get a fight, was getting, like, silly offers, like, for people that weren't like, promoters were just trying to get me on to kind of sell tickets, and people that no one really knew, and like it was just like, you're gonna win, and that's not what I wanted, you know. I wanted to come out here and I wanted to fight the best. So I was speaking with my mum one night, and I just said, I'm gonna go back to Thailand for a long time, till the end of the year, till your wedding, which is in December.
Yep.
That's why I'm going home. I just said, I think it's best for me. I know it's going to be like hard for the gym, because obviously I'm at the gym every day, you know. I train with my coach every day. It's still hard for him. It's hard for me because my, like, family and everything. But I said, this is what I need to do while I'm young. I need to go spend as much time in Thailand as I can now. So yeah, I came out here, and I'd already had. So first gym I went to this year, I decided not to go back to TBM just because of the fight thing.
Yep.
I was a bit worried, if I go there, what if they just give me like 1 or 2 fights this year? I'll be fuming, because the training is so hard out here as well. You want to be fighting like actively and then earning that rest and then coming back and starting again. So I went to Chok Muay. I was already friends with Monkongel and Kong Taroni. They were both at TBM before, because Chok Muay was getting like refurbished, or it was closed for a bit. So that's how I kind of got in there with them two. And I knew JP was out here. Obviously, he was training here.
Yep.
Javi was here. I had him on Instagram. Never met him before. Never met JP before back home. I'd seen them all fight. Obviously, Stevie and Nico and his team. Knew obviously about them. And I was actually talking with Javi, because I messaged him, because I thought, he's been in Thailand a long time. He can give me an idea about visas and stuff. Yeah. So nothing to do with training. I was still at Samai at this point. Spoke to him, and he was just really friendly. Like, anything you need, just let me know. And I thought, oh, he's a really nice guy. Anyway, he kind of pointed me in a good direction for that. Told me what he did and whatnot. And then I met JP. The first time, I think we just like went for a coffee, because me and Nico have the same nutritionist what I was using at the time from back home. So we all went for a coffee and just a chat, and I was telling him a bit about it, and he was like, oh, that don't sound good. Like, if you not saying like, oh, come here, but it's just like, oh, if you did want, like, I could help get you like the 5 round fights or like a bit better opportunities. Like, you're worth more than that now, like, sort of thing. And then I went back and I think I had my last fight for Smart, and then it was at that point that I thought, I'm not doing that again. So I thought, I'm not fighting on there again. I want something bigger now. And I met them again. Where did we go? We went for a haircut, and I was talking to them again, just JP and it was just me and JP that time. I think Drew was there as well, and we was. I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come down to Sword Echipart and see what it's like. And came down on a Sunday, trained just me and 2 other sides that were obviously fighting in front of. And Chet was just. So I met Chet. He was just sitting watching.
And for those who don't know, Chet's the boss of Sword Echipart. He's a big policeman here in Thailand.
Yeah, he's my boss now.
Yeah, he's Alfie's boss.
Yeah.
So Alfie is now a sponsored fighter at Sword Echipart.
Yeah.
So we'll just pick up from where we left off. We got a coffee. The camera overheated. So we're back to episode 14 with Alfie Pearse, the I wouldn't even call you an up-and-coming star. I think you're a pretty established star now.
I'm getting there, hopefully. I hope so. I'm on the way.
Well, man, how many foreigners have had the chance to fight for the Rajana Man title? Not many.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I mean, what fight was that for you? That was
my 18th.
18th fight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nuts.
18th.
That's crazy.
And I was on a win streak from
exactly.
Until then.
Exactly, like 11 win streaks.
On about 6 TKOs in a row.
Yeah. Okay, that's...
And 17 wins in a row.
Oh, that's nuts. So, all right, so you got sponsored by Sword Echipart.
Yeah, came here.
Met Xavi.
Yeah, met him. He's he's big inspiration for me, really. Don't want to go in too much because of time, and I don't want the camera to get too hot again. But he, someone like him who's been here for a long time, actually learnt the language, lived here, such a good heart, but like crazy in the ring, just similar to me, you know. But like I haven't done as much out here as him. He's definitely someone that inspires me, and I train with every day, you know. And I enjoy being around. He's a good person, very clever, but with languages and things like that. But yeah, really enjoy training with Xavi. So got him with Sword Echipart, had a few fights for them, straight away onto the 5 rounders. Two fights for them. Kia Pet, both
nice.
Kia Pet, yeah. So 5 rounds, both stoppages. Then I was training for my 3rd fight, and this was in a short amount of time as well. So I think I was training for maybe 2 weeks for this. Not preparing for anything too crazy, you know. And then got the call on. It was Tuesday night. We got the call. I was fighting at 65 kilo again because in Thailand I don't really mind. I'll fight up to 135 pounds to maximum 65 if it's the same day weigh-in. Like, so that's 135 to 142, I think. So we got the call Tuesday night saying, "Oh, were you?" Adam Noyes had to pull out again. I think it was for the 3rd time, maybe I know they've rescheduled it. Maybe the 2nd time he had to pull out. I think he did have quite a significant injury, to be fair to him. So they was like, "Oh, will you fight?" Chet was like, "I'll fight John Paranchai, 63.5 on RWS," and I was like. And I did not even think about my weight at the time. I said, "Oh, he's the champion at 61. Like, they was meant to be fun." I was like, "Get it for that. I'll make it. He was like, "Oh, you sure? Do you want?" And then there was like, "All right, send us the details and stuff." So they've gone back and forth through the night, and then boom, that night I get told that I'm going to be able to fight for the Raja belt, which was just like insane. I remember we talked a bit, didn't we?
Yeah.
We found out the news, and I was just like, it was insane to me. Just like in shock about it all, really. Still am. Like, I remember when we got in the ring, I was just looking across thinking, is this really like happening, you know? Like, when I was watching him do his Waiku and stuff, I thought I've had like, compared to him and all the Thais telling me before, John's been fighting since he was a baby, and I've watched him live literally mess up Hong Chuan-Yi, who was one of my, who still is a good Thai friend of mine, and he absolutely pressured him and kneed and elbowed him like quite bad. Didn't stop him, but really put it on him for 5 rounds, and I thought, I'm actually fighting this guy now. Like, my level's gone from Thai's like down here to the top, people that are like the best of the division in the world, like, and it was insane to me. But I took it in my stride, I was well up for it. I thought, I can go in there, I can train him down, but obviously the first thing was the weight. So I'm a big guy for the weight. Obviously, when I'm fighting 61, I bring it down like most foreigners do.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was fighting at 65, so I was 68 kilo at the time, and I was just going to cut down to 65, so it was at 7 kilo.
Yeah.
I think I might have even been a little bit heavier, because I'm sure I was. But anyway, so I had Wednesday and Thursday and a Friday morning a bit to lose this weight. So I've started running. I've basically done as much as I could, running each day. Then I sauntered for a few hours on the Friday morning, and I've never really put my body through that sort of weight cut. I've always done it sensibly. I'll only cut like 3-4 kilos to 61. I always bring it down quite sensibly. So I was in a bad way, My coach had come over on really short notice. He got here in the morning, and when I was in the sauna and stuff, and by the end of it, I wasn't even sweating, I'd shaved my hair, shaved all the hair off myself.
I remember you shaved it like a proper skinhead.
Yeah, just because I thought anything to do this, I was desperate to make it, but my body was at the point that it wasn't giving anymore, There's a point, and I think...
and it was only by 500 grams or something like that.
I think a pound, and that's about 500 grams, if I'm right.
Yeah.
And they was like, oh, take off. So we got there, and it was a pound. And I was like, oh, all right. Didn't sweat at all for my last sauna, bearing in mind. Went to try go again, and I just couldn't even stand up, on my own. And that's when John and that were looking at me and his team, and obviously I don't speak Thai, but the Thais were there, and they were basically saying, look at him, go in there, don't worry that it's a pound over, he can't even, just look at him, basically. I was lying on the floor, and they was like, yeah, we'll still do it. So unfortunately, I couldn't actually win the belt, but I still got to fight 5 rounds.
But you know what, man? It's one of those things, you can only push your body so far.
Yeah.
And I've been in a very similar position to that, where I fought for a state title, and I had to fight, I think the lowest was it was the lowest I'd ever fought, and it was the first time I'd ever had to push down to that weight. It was 57.5. Same thing, dieted over 3 weeks. I was normally fighting at 61, 62, and had this chance, and I didn't make it by 500 grams. And it's just one of those things.
It's so close, but so far.
So close, but so far. But it's one of those things, your body just physically can't.
I had no time. I think if I had one extra day to run or just rest my body a bit more, I would have done it. But it was just time ran out. We was late to the weigh-ins. I was trying everything, and no one was more devastated to me. I remember I just went back to my room after I'd sat for it and just cried. As soon as I got some water in my body, started just crying, and my coach sat with me for a bit.
Probably at a point where you couldn't cry.
I couldn't cry at one point when I was sat outside the stadium, but when I actually had water and I was just on my own, I just couldn't, literally just crying to myself, thinking, what have I done? I've let myself down, but I had to get over it, because I thought, I'm still fighting him, and I spoke with the RWS guys, and they was like, listen, you had this short amount of time, just do your best tomorrow, and we'll give you big opportunities. You've kind of saved the fight for us. Just put on a good show, and and make it a good fight, and we'll have you back on. I said, yeah, of course. So I've come back, I've rehydrated, we've gone into the fight now, and like I said before, looking across him at the ring, do you know what Thais are like? They're not intimidating really. They don't look scary. Well, some of them do, like the ones with scars all over. But he didn't. He looked very strong, and I knew he was. But he was a nice Thai. I'm always nice and polite. So there wasn't nothing like that before. But you get in there and you can feel the presence. You know, once you're in there, you can see the calmness, and you can almost feel their experience before you start getting kicked by them. And I was on that big win streak of breaking people down, using my size, and it was the first time it wasn't working against someone. And I just thought, from my experience, I just kept doing the same thing, trying to walk, and he was just. And I think maybe the cut had something to do with it. My output wasn't as high, like going into it. My body wasn't as strong, and he was just too clever, you know. He was countering off the back foot, controlling the clinch. I was just kept going at him. I think definitely there was around 3 or 4 where they could have given it to me, you know, where I was actually like catching them with some elbows, but I'd lost the fight, so it wouldn't have mattered. Like fair and square, I got beaten by one of the best in the world, you know. And he is a great champion. He was humble. He even messaged me after, like, and I translated it saying, like, because he saw me, I had a post like one day with the belt on my story, and he said, I think you'll be the champion, like, you've got heart, you've got the heart to be a champion, you know. And that meant a lot. And he just said, you don't stop. Like, we chatted for a bit on Instagram, and he just said, yeah, you don't stop, like, you can do it one day. And so there's no like bad blood or anything like that, but I definitely want to get that fight again. I want to earn it, and I want like proper training for it. You know, I want like at least a month of hard training for that fight, and dieting well, and making my cut smooth, and getting onto that. But then moving on from that, you know, it was my first loss. But I took it quite well, because I was in Thailand and I'd been beat. I didn't get like knocked out or hurt and ran away from something. I tried my best. I went for him the whole time. I just couldn't land the shots, and I got outscored by someone that was better at playing the game, you know. And I feel like I have learnt a lot from that. And so moving on from that, I come back training. I took some time off. I thought I can't just stay at the gym because it's going to be on my mind. So I went to Pattaya to see my friend, came back, and the next fight was obviously Adam Noy, who was meant to be fighting John originally, which I knew was going to be a very, very hard fight. I had more time to prepare for this one. The cut went so much better. Not just like because I used this new nutritionist. My last one was great. I just wanted a different. I wanted to see what else, like what other people's outlooks were, you know. So shout out to him. There was a few different things from my last guy, and I made it really, really comfortably this time. Like I was at the weigh-ins, I was literally like shadow boxing and stuff. Like I felt so good. So weight was made fine. He obviously missed weight. Was
that at a bigger weight, or
no? This was back
same one, 61.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back at that weight. So I knew after that, you know, I'm either back in there for title contention because he was meant to fight John. Or I'm ranked and I've got my kind of, I can choose a good opponent sort of thing. Not choose, but I've got leeway then. And so moving on, he obviously missed weight, but he beat me well in the first round. But I just knew like I had to stay on him with the same sort of style that I do, but cleverly as well, like winning. So how the Thais like to do it, that's what I was thinking. I thought, learning from John, there's things that he did that I watched that the Thais love. And obviously the second round, first minute of it, he was winning, and then I started to land stuff, and his power started to go more. And then I was getting these really good positions in the clinch, like land controlling the arms and getting a big knee up the back and holding it and kind of showing the judges I was in control, like breaking his posture a bit, and his sweeps weren't working as much. And then I caught him with 2 elbows that visibly kind of took his feet, like his legs went like jelly. And obviously on shows like RWS 3-rounders, that's a big thing, you know. And his shots weren't affecting me. I was kind of coming forward and he was landing, but they wasn't pushing me or rocking me, so that made a big difference, and the judges gave me that round. And I remember going into that third, I said because my coach couldn't jump in between because he had shorts on, so JP was obviously in the corner as well, and he jumped in, and I remember saying like, I'm just getting started, like I wish this was 5 rounds because I'm ready now, like I'm gonna go at him, but I'm gonna win it clever. Like I'm gonna win this round, and he had good output that round, like landing good stuff. But I think I was just doing things that the judges love. Like I was constantly on him, like it was still tit for tat, but I was controlling the clinch where he had to fight me there because it was a round apiece. So he was kind of level with the knees, but I was doing things that the judges were really liking, like locking it off, or like I said, kneeing up the back and having the last show of that exchange, and then obviously towards the end of the round he thought he'd won and was like kind of backing off, showing that he didn't want to fight, and I made that obvious, and you can't do that in 3 rounds promotional like Muay Thai. That's not going to look good for you. You can't be running away acting like and literally visibly looking like you don't want to fight, you know. Which I think his power was done by then. I think if there was a few more rounds he would have been in trouble because I could feel it. My long knees were starting up, finding my range. I was just growing in confidence, and went on, won. I thought I won the fight straight after it, you know. I thought I took the last round. He was very unhappy with it, but it is what it is. It was a close fight. I would have been unhappy with it if he won. So nothing against Adam. I mean, if we could fight again in the future sometime,
I think it'd be a really good rematch. I think it should be over 5 rounds next time, 100%.
Definitely.
You know, I think Adam's a really good fighter and a fantastic fighter. I'd like to see him fight more 5-round fights. I actually think he fights better under 5-round fights. He's a very technical fighter, and he was able to, you know, warm up a little bit. He's a bit like you know, like he warms up over a couple of rounds and does really, really well in about the 3rd.
It was a really hard fight for me because I knew it's the worst kind of fight for me because it's someone that's good at like dealing with aggressive opponents, you know.
And fighting on the outside.
It's not like if I fight like a big puncher or someone else aggressive, it suits me because we just clash in the middle, and I kind of feel like I grow as people get tired, sort of thing. But when they're conserving and they're back and they're kicking and trying to sweep, like when you're kneeing, it's harder to deal with them opponents. But I'm learning that by fighting Thais, you know. And that brings us to now, where I've not got long left this year. So we've just took a fight on like 10 days notice of Fairtex fight on 63.5 or 64 kilo, one or two, a bit heavier. Still got like 7 kilo to lose, so
I'm looking forward to this one because you know I commentate on Fairtex fight, and it's always good to see friends fight on there because where Matt and I used to sit, we used to sit up in the stands in the commentary box, but now we're right next to the stage. So it'll be good to see it from the ringside.
I'm looking forward to it. It's a Tyler. He's fought on like Channel 7 a lot. I've seen his fights. I can't remember his name, but I think he's a lot older now. Like he's not the same as he used to be. You know, he for reasons got kicked out of his gym. At a new gym now, and I'm really gonna just kind of go for it for my last fight. You know, I really want to end with a stoppage or a.
Do you know what sort of style he fights?
Another like sort of back foot. He didn't look aggressive in any of his fights I saw, but I just don't think his body's gonna be the same. His IQ will still be there. But I'm just ready for just like a crazy
whether his fitness will be up to
exactly. You know, it's just and his strength. strength will be there for that high pace. Like,
Yeah.
I'm getting more and more used to these 3 round stuff, which is a good thing because I'm always going to be on RWS now. I'm ranked number 8 at Rajadamnern now. Like, I had to go, and we spoke with them before I fought at Lumpini, before we organised this fight. So I need to get used to these 3 rounds. So I'm looking for to do a lot more damage early and not just growing, because I think I'll always have that 5 round style is better for me. But if I can be able to do both, it's gonna be better, because I'm only gonna have big fights on RWS next year, and obviously that's where the sport's going in terms of entertainment. I will always want my dreams to be a stadium champion. That's what I want. So, but I need to do what's obviously. I need to push this RWS thing, but also I want to fight 5 rounds
on the traditional circuit
in
as
between.
Well.
So
I think it's an interesting. I'm going to use a big word here: dichotomy between where you want to fight 5 round fights and stadium style, but you also know that you have to fight the entertainment style. And I think that's brilliant, and I think that's what all fighters coming to Thailand should be doing. I actually think what they should be doing is going to the provinces and doing their time in Isan or up north, doing 5 round stadium style Muay Thai, then doing a little bit of the entertainment circuit, maybe on some of the smaller shows, and then trying to get on the big ones.
Definitely.
And I think it's really cool that you want to fight both styles. Your preference is to do the stadium style, but to do that you have to fight. You have to fight the.
You need to build a name like out here. Still, I'm like, to the Thais and the pros, I'm still no one. So I've got to build my name up and keep going. So that is the way, and obviously, if that's what Chet's obviously looking for my best interest. So if he wants me to do that, then that's what I'll do. So
looking past this fight, all right. So you got a fight on Fairtex fight at the December 2nd. December 2nd. So next week.
Next Saturday.
Literally next week.
Yeah.
After that, you'll go back to the UK for your
got about
mum's,
a week and a bit, and then go home
for your mum's wedding.
Yeah.
And then next year, looking into the next 12 months, 2024, where do you see yourself in 2024?
I think it's going to be a big year for me next year. A few things I'd like to tick off my list is I'd love to earn a rematch with John for the belt. I'd like to fight on Channel 7, where here at the gym the boss has got a good connection with them. I mean, if it doesn't happen next year, maybe the year after, but that's another thing. And I'd also like to fight in Australia as well.
Yep.
I've had a few promoters ask me. I really like the scene over there on some of the big shows.
Naji, if you're listening.
Yeah.
IRAM, if you're listening.
Yeah, there's some big fights for me out there. I'm ranked now in the WBC. I'm not sure where, but I'm there. And some of the other platforms, and I think that my style would be appreciated in Australia. I get a lot of
100%,
yeah, I get a lot of
100%.
messages, and there's all different styles over there. But I mean, I think it would suit me to go over there and fight some of the, especially being in Thailand,
And the good thing about actually going to Australia, and I mean Warapon can tell you this, is that you get looked after.
Yeah.
Promoters in Australia will take care of international fighters, and now what's really cool is like guys like Sai and IRAM, they will get guys from the UK now. Whereas before they would only get Thais. But now, because there's so many Thais in Australia, they don't really need to get Thais from here
They're
anymore.
getting like a top.
They're getting the top guys from the UK, top guys from Spain. Because they're the top guys in the world now.
It makes sense. That's what I like. What they're doing. They're always putting on. There's some good shows over there.
Yeah.
Same with back home, but I think it'd have to be a really big offer for me to go back home and fight in the UK next year.
I think the UK is a little bit difficult for in terms of logistics because of the flight time. No, number one, the flight time, the distance. You'd have to at least stay a week to reacclimatise
Definitely.
because of the shitty weather over there. That's one thing I never understood why the Queen of England sent all the convicts to Australia when we've got some of the best weather in the world. Why would you send criminals?
All them poisonous animals.
Yeah.
Bad weather, but we haven't got no sharks.
So I think that's one of those issues. But I really hope that I can try and work some magic for you to get to Australia, because I really want to see that happen for a lot of the guys here. Is get the opportunity in Australia, because to be honest, I think Australia is turning into the new Thailand in regards to Muay Thai. Like, Australian Muay Thai is crazy.
It's growing, and it's so weird. Like, this is still on topic, but it's funny. She'll like this that I brought this up. My nan has got I've got family in Australia, but it's sort of like my nan's sister, you know.
Yeah, right.
But I have still got family over there. And she really had to tell me last night or the night before, like her sister's daughter's like a chiropractor.
Oh yeah.
Or is it a chiropractor or just physio? But she works with athletes.
Yeah.
And said that she had this I don't know what I am to her, so don't take any offence, but because it probably is for you most likely that they've seen this. But she does some athletes, and she said, "Oh, I've got a cousin or second cousin over in Thailand doing more," and they knew me. Like 3 of our clients knew me from Australia already.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah.
It was nice to hear,
Yeah,
So, and I
really
get
cool.
messages from a lot of Aussie guys that say about fighting there. I think there's some really good guys around my way, if not around the world, that would be some really good fights.
Yeah, I mean, at that weight, there's a lot of good guys, and then I think it'd be really nice for you to fight in Australia on a 5-rounder, because it's really interesting that Thailand, and I've spoken about this on other podcasts, that Thailand is pushing 3-round Muay Thai a lot only like a handful of shows.
But the bigger shows that people are watching from outside of Thailand.
In Australia, it's only like 5-round
that's
Muay
what
Thai.
I like what they're doing. Like, they really have the I think it's because there's a lot of Thais there as well that have, like, older Thais and stuff that are coaching. They've gone there now. And they're probably breeding it into their next generation about the actual art of Muay Thai.
I think it's interesting because a lot of Aussie guys like to fight the stadium style, and it's like much like yourself, they have a particular style and they stick to it.
Works for
works for them.
So fingers crossed. There are a few things I'd like to tick off next year, but I think it's going to be a very big year. I mean, I've been already talking like with RWS and stuff. When you look at the rankings, it's very stacked at that weight. Like I don't know any other Brit that's been ranked at a weight like that, which is a big achievement in itself. But there's some big fights in there that I wouldn't want to say yet because I don't know if they'd want me to, but some really interesting ones that I could have before rematching John again. But we'll see what happens. I'm open to it. I'll just get this last fight. I want to make it an exciting one. Hopefully end with a bang and enjoy my Christmas with my family and stuff back home. It's been would have been like 7 months since I've been at home, which is quite a long time for me. Like, it's definitely the first time I've been away from home for that long. Yeah,
well, I mean, you're only still young as well. Like, it gets a little bit easier as you get older.
Yeah.
Because your priorities change and that sort of thing. But thank you for your time,
thank
Alfie.
you.
Where can people find you to follow you?
Instagram, Alfie Pearse, JD. Facebook, just Alfie Pearse. So yeah, just them two.
Yep. So make sure you follow Alfie on socials. I'll put the links in the bio, and obviously put the little Instagram tags that I normally do. Thank you very much for your time. This is Chok Muay Chats. I'm Joe Comerford. This is episode 14. If you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe, and share amongst your friends. You can find it on YouTube and Spotify. Peace out.